window. Oh boy, that is just got mad at me. Okay, we should be live. Are we live? We are. Okay, and everything looks good. Okay. I'm gonna have Opera GX noises now going on. Oh well. Um, you there? Or
I'm here. What's up?
okay,
We
we
live?
just went live. Yeah, we're
Oh,
live.
sweet. Sick. All right. Well, howdy doody.
Sorry.
Um,
Okay.
I said howdy doody.
Oh, how did?
All right. Well, Spirited Away.
Yeah, we're doing this movie. Um, it was a good movie. I like it. I saw.
I love it. I, it was great inspiration for the new Dungeons and Dragons campaign coming up. It was just that like very whimsical mix of the traditional like Japanese like style and culture mixed with like the industrial of like the
Mhm.
boiler room and the train, all these like new things. I
Yeah,
mean, it was set in the modern day. They were driving like a modern car, but
yeah.
it was cool like that. And that was like came up a lot actually.
Mhm. Like when they pulled all the gunk out of the rich spirit,
Yeah,
all the junk. Yeah. Huh. I'm sure that there is like a meaning behind each of the spirits in this movie and like what they each like represent
yeah.
from
The
like
radish spirit. He's a Chad.
from like maybe from Japanese culture or something, but I don't know any of that and I can't find it online.
That would be an interesting thing to learn. I that's the thing that always bothers me about like anime
Hmm.
is just that it's very you lose a lot in translation.
Yeah.
Um, and you have two options. You can either localize, in which case you lose like the original form of it, or you can leave it as is, in which case you can lose the meaning in translation.
Yeah.
Um,
Um
it's not ideal either way, but at least we get like a great movie out of it.
like No Face, I believe
Yeah.
this one article says that he represents like loneliness most likely and like
Well,
longing
he
to be
says he's
noticed.
lonely.
Yeah.
That's not like a that's not like a huge leap to
Okay,
make. I
fair
mean, I
enough.
get I never quite I kind of wish he got a more satisfying ending. I'm gonna be honest.
Hmm.
He kind of he gets left at Nan's house, and that's all. That's the last we hear of him. Because he helps her throughout the movie, and then he just kind of gets put in the corner.
Yeah. So
We never really figure out what's up with him.
yeah, he just kind of acts as like a way to get Shihiro out of the bathhouse. Because like, oh, he gets in there and his whole motivation is help Shihiro because she helped me or was kind to me, I guess, in some way. I don't know what it means by that, but like how she necessarily helped him necessarily. But yeah, he then causes chaos and it gives her a reason to get out.
I it's I don't know. Wasn't she gonna leave anyway? I mean, I don't know if it gave her reason to get out. I mean, she was on a mission beforehand.
Oh yeah, that is true. It's like, what did he
I think
do?
he's more. I don't know.
I think he
He's just
represents. He's more of a representation of like greed or like wanting to satisfy people, and like materialism more than anything else.
I get that in the sense that he's offering people gold and then he's eating them in exchange for the gold. But it, I mean, that's very literal. I mean, he offers her like
Bath
the
tokens.
tokens, bath tokens first, which I guess are sort of a form of currency.
Well,
They're really
his
more of a way to they're really more of a way to communicate with the boiler room.
yeah, but he didn't know that. Because the first thing that he sees Chihiro actually desiring is the bath tokens, and that's why he gets them for her. Because apparently, oh, bath tokens are something that this girl needs. Um, and then with the gold, that was people like asked him for gold, and gold is what the or they didn't ask him, but everyone went crazy for gold at the bathhouse when the river or whatever spirit, the rich spirit, like left behind, and there were, and so he was like, "Oh, these people like gold," so he starts handing out gold in hopes that that would get people to like him.
Yeah, and they do. But he's trying to get her to like him,
Yeah,
and she already does though. She's kind to him all the way through.
yeah,
So
regardless of what he gives her or can offer her, but then she refuses his gold and the materialism. So,
oh, you know what she gives him in the end? She does. He gives her the hairband.
mhm,
So that's what it is. So he does get to give her something. I didn't.
it was
She
woven
she
by
she,
your friends.
she refuses the bath token. She refuses the gold. She gets the hairband.
Hmm.
Hey, why does the little fly that's carrying the baby around when he's a rat? Is that like the bird?
I think
You know what I'm
so.
talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it
it's
is.
weird. It's weird how the bird joined along because the bird wasn't like No Face and the baby and the mites all kind of had personality. The bird was just kind of around
Mhm. Yeah, it. I don't know what their point was other than,
to look
haha,
cute.
yeah, to look cute and look what happens to the person's baby.
Is this supposed to be a children's movie?
Yes.
It, if I was a child watching this, I would have been horrified. The
There's some scary imagery in this movie.
yeah, there is. It's I mean, first of all, there's the pigs when she first sees her parents getting turned into pigs. That's horrifying.
The witch.
Like not just yeah, well the witch is scary, but when they're turned into pigs, it's not like just that they're pig people. It's the way it's shot
Yeah.
is like a jump scare. It's very bizarre. Yeah, and then the water spirit's face is scary, and when they think he's a stink spirit, he's scary then too.
No Face is pretty terrifying.
Yeah, when he's eating people, he eats people. He doesn't kill them because
Yeah.
that would be wrong. But he eats them alive.
Hmm. It's a the tunnel even. I would say even like the tunnel with the wind howling through it could be a bit scary.
What the tunnel with the wind? Oh, right
At
in the
the start,
beginning.
yeah, right.
That's kind of ominous. I don't know if that's like really frightening. That is a little ominous.
Yeah,
I think that the difference is that I'm trying to. The point I'm making is one of like how appropriate is this for kids if you're going to frighten them?
yeah.
Like kids are allowed to be scared. Kids get scared very easily, but I don't know how intentionally you're allowed to do it in a piece of media for kids.
It's rated PG.
So is that the answer? It's PG.
Yeah, the movie is PG, so parental guidance is recommended.
Oh, it's episode 34, by the way. You named it episode 30, 30,
Oh,
33.
my bad.
I'll change it. Um, yeah. Jeez, Jay, you're screwing everything up here.
Yeah. So I guess
Uh,
the film kind of starts out with um they're moving to a new place, new town, and Chihiro doesn't like that at all.
there is an actual, by the way, the actual story here is like very subtle for a kids movie.
Yes.
Like like I don't think kids will have any idea like that there's a story at all.
Yeah. This movie is very built up on its like themes and what it represents and shows more than an actual story. There's only really like one scene, which is odd, where like story actually happens, and that is when Shihiro's like given the overall quest to, or when she speaks about her desire to save her parents, and that's about it. It just eventually becomes a point of, oh, oh yeah, you're ready now to save your parents.
Yeah, well, I mean about the whole her coming to terms with them moving.
Hmm.
Like she's nervous, she's starting a new life, she's very sad about it, and by the end she's like, maybe this won't be so hard.
Yeah,
But if you're a kid, it's gonna be. I mean, you'll get her saying that at the very end, but you're gonna be like, you're not gonna be like, oh man, I just watched her go through this entire arc where first she was horrified being led around by the guy, and then she was leading a team of people.
yeah. It
Maybe
is.
Japanese kids are just smarter.
I, I did tell you about it being a coming of age story when I was
Yeah,
first telling you about it.
I don't know. I just don't know if kids would get that.
Probably not.
I mean, kids are already don't get it a whole lot, but this movie is really subtle about it being a coming of age story.
Yeah.
It's almost embarrassed about it.
That is definitely one of my criticisms of this movie is that its story is almost, I don't want to say convoluted, but non-existent at point. It's like it lacks directional often. It's just like, oh, we do this next. It's like, okay, but why? But okay.
Yeah, and a lot of movies are like that. And I think it's fine. It's very Alice in Wonderland, where it's a series of her seeing like new and whimsical imagery, and the story is just kind of leading her from place to place.
Hmm.
But ooh,
Now that you mention that, I can definitely see Alice in Wonderland being an inspiration behind this movie.
well, that's instantly what I thought of, right? I mean, she finds herself in a crazy and whimsical place, and she has a series of mentors who are quirky characters who get to show her around how things are, and she's
Hmm.
got there's the evil queen who she first meets, and then she realizes that the evil queen is in fact the evil, and she's got to side with the good queen,
Yeah.
and she turns with her gang of misfits. It's very very Alice in Wonderland, and to be
Yeah.
fair, Alice in Wonderland is a very archetypal story,
Hmm.
like you know, strange place and all, strange new world, but it's very heavy on this. It's basically Japanese modern Japanese Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. I didn't think about that really until you mentioned it. But yeah, it definitely is. Um, she starts out moving to like a new town and stuff. They meet the scary stuff. I liked the idea of like this theme park almost with a bathhouse. Like the father writes off as like, oh, this must be just one of those theme parks that they built back in the day that went out of business. And yeah, it quite literally is. But there's a lot more to it than just being a theme park.
The theme park is very funny because if that theme park was in America, you'd be like, oh, a traditional Japanese themed theme park. That's kind of cool.
Hmm.
But it's in Japan, so it's kind of just like a small town. I mean, they were literally in like a food district.
Yeah,
It was really funny. Like this is the theme park. Oh, there's a bunch of restaurants over here. There's a bathhouse over there. This is kind of just a town.
yeah. Um,
I mean, it's like a beautifully built, and like as with theme parks, it's meant for looks and not functionality. So probably, but
Very
it,
colorful.
yeah, it really wasn't that like themish.
I'm having trouble almost like thinking about where the difference between the spirit realm and like the human realm exactly was then, because it's like, was it at the river or was it, apparently I guess it's like with the river, but like the theme park was built in the real world, I guess. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But if it, or was it back in the tunnel that they crossed? Or was it the bridge that, or was the bridge just like magically um enchanted? And in that case, why did she need the food back at the river?
Yeah, I have no idea. I kind of figured that it was the gate to the theme park was, what was it? The gate to the theme park is actually it might be like, I have no idea. The gate to the theme park is the gate to an area which, if you're in at a certain time, becomes a portal to the spirit world. So
Okay.
the spirit world, um, like the doors only open sometimes. You can go to the theme park anytime, and it's only a theme park like past,
At night.
yeah, when the sun sets, it only becomes a door.
Okay.
I mean, that's just obviously that's just the theory.
So what happens? I'm wondering then, like, what happens if she takes the ferry? Because they never took the ferry. The ferry didn't do anything other than bring stuff over. Because it showed the other side, with in the ferry scene. That's just confusing.
What fairy scene? What are you talking about?
Well, there wasn't the ferry. There was a ferry scene, but like, remember when she runs back to the river and finds it full in the Ferry of Spirits docks, and she looks over and sees the world on the other side.
I thought that was just more spirits.
Maybe it is more spirits, but
Yeah, because you'd think that the people on the other side would be like, why are there a bunch of ghosts over there? I thought that what that was showing was that this was like a ghost town before, and now it's booming with life.
okay, maybe that is the case. So
It told you, very confusing. Like, a kid's not going to get any of this.
no,
But
it,
I do think it is actually one of those stories that might be, it's benefited by like lack of detail, because it keeps that sense of whimsy.
mm, fantastic
This is
to
a
it.
mysterious, yeah, it's fantastic. This is a mysterious place.
It's like very much the case like with generally with world building is often the how realistic a world seems. Sort of same thing with like magic systems too. The more you know about it, the less mysterious it becomes.
Yeah, like Avatar: The Last Airbender almost doesn't feel magic at all, just because there's such a set rules with it, and you only bend it sometimes.
Mhm. Whereas with Lord of the Rings, its world seems almost
Well,
so
you have no
fast.
idea what Gandalf can do.
Yeah, you nobody
He barely
knows.
does anything.
Yeah, it's
We
like
know
we
that he
don't know what he does. We don't even know how magic works in that world. And then the fact that things are told through an unreliable author as well makes the world seem so much more vast than it really is. We
and
just
there
see,
is a. Did you see? I'm guessing. Did you see that video about this where they use Lord of the Rings as an example? Like, why do magic systems not feel magical or something? I don't know who it was by.
yes, that was a really good movie. Or video. I think I sent that video to you.
Oh, you might have. That might have been it. Yeah. I mean, in the example they use is Galadriel gives them the mirror, the little pool that lets you see
Hmm.
their future or whatever.
Yeah, and they call it
And
elf magic.
yeah, Sam is like, I've always wanted to see elf magic, and Galadriel's like, I don't know what you mean by magic.
Yeah, like to
And
her.
that's very similar to this. Like, to the characters in the bathhouse, this is like their everyday life. They're living their life. To
Hmm.
her, this is crazy. Everything that's happening is bizarre.
Hmm. Whole new world.
Don't you dare close your.
So the parents, when they smell the food and they're like, oh hey, like what's going on here, and they see all this food set out, and they're like,
I
well,
would have
should we,
run away.
yeah, it's like, should we
That
eat
would scare
it,
the crap out of me.
should we eat it? And the dad's like, yeah, sure, we can always pay when they come back. Like they just
I think that
assumed that they left.
it's always interesting when the writing is so good that you get to like speculate about the thought process of characters.
Hmm.
Like, I don't have that in my writing, but I don't think so. But like, that's basically them like making a deal with the devil and then rationalizing it. Is like,
Hmm.
they're voluntarily succumbing to their sensory like desires, and then they're rationalizing it by being like, this is a buffet, we'll just pay when they get back.
Yeah,
Like, obviously that's what, and the little girl is like, who's not like that, she's like, what is this place, we need to get out of here, it's scaring me.
yeah. And their dad literally says, like, who needs to worry when daddy has cash and credit cards?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Which I guess but they get turned into pigs for their selfishness.
Exactly.
Literally for the gluttony, the parents get turned into pigs, which I can find. I don't have a picture of that. Oh well, I just like zoomed way ahead in pictures. Let's go back. But yeah, the
Yeah,
parents get turned in.
yeah, she goes to they she goes to explore. She
Sees the
finds herself entering the ghost world, and she's tries to get out.
yeah. So she gets like the bridge, and that's where we meet the boy. Haku is his name.
Cool.
Haku. And he's like, "Hey, you need to get out of here, like ASAP."
Ugly haircut, this guy.
Yeah. Also, if he's a spirit, why is he out during the day, but the rest of the
He's
spirits
like a
aren't?
scout spirit though. Don't you? Like he has special abilities.
It seems really inconsistent there. If none of the spirits were visible by during the day, but then when she's like at the bathhouse, everything is fine during the day.
Well, it's he's also like this is at the very end of day, and he's coming back from the human realm, I guess.
I don't think.
Like
No, he doesn't interact in the human realm.
you don't think so? Well, no,
No.
but he's what was their story together? What did that end up being? Do you remember? He's a river spirit,
Yeah.
and he saved her.
Yeah. At some point,
So he must be interacting with the human world in some sense.
which I hated that as like a character climax because it was like we have this relationship that these two people are building up throughout the movie, but then they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember you. You saved my life once from this past unexplained event that absolutely carried no impact or weight on the story."
Well, he knew her name because she almost forgot it.
Hmm.
Remember that? And
Yeah,
he was like, I don't remember my own name. I know your name though.
yeah,
So that's it's nice in that sense because the old witch lady takes people's names.
but does the story change in any way if he once saved her from the river or not?
No, I don't think so. I do think that's sort of just a nothing story point.
Yeah, and their climax, the climax of their character moment, is almost built on that.
I
And
I
she,
I, I almost think it's her saving his life is more like the climax. That's more like the falling action.
okay,
She returns a favor that he did for her when he saved her life.
okay. It wasn't the, or I didn't say climax of the story. I said climax for their characters.
Yeah, I think the climax of their like the climax of the story is her going to meet the old grandmother.
Yes, and
So
then for their
she
character arcs are a finish at when she remembers his name,
yeah. Her
which.
character arc, I think her character arc is finished at Nana's house because that she
Mhm,
goes from being led around by everyone to leading around all these people.
mhm.
She's taking some initiative.
Yeah. So spirits come out. She starts fading, so she has to eat food from their world, which he gives to her. And but she's like doesn't trust him almost at first, but he helps her out, which is nice. Um,
Yeah, it's good to be good.
she has to go to the boiler room to ask for a job because
Oh
if she doesn't get a job, then she's gonna get turned into an animal just like her parents.
yeah, I've heard this exact. I've had this exact nightmare when she's walking down the stairs.
Yeah.
I've had like that exact nightmare of walking down like a steep set of stairs on the side of a building,
Oh yeah.
and like, yeah, it's like almost like almost the exact story beat of what happens in it. Like it's very
That's gotta be
like what if
frightening.
I know, right? I mean, it's such a tall building too. How much is in there, do you think? Because all the staff lives there. That's one thing.
Yep.
How many private bathrooms do you think there are?
I have no idea.
And are there like guest rooms? Is it like a motel or is it just a day spa?
I couldn't tell you.
I wonder if there are
There,
massages.
there's also the water tanks. There's the boiler room. There's all of the different spas, and there's a few different levels to the spas. Then there's all the housing areas, and at the top is where the evil witch lives. So
Yeah, it's a huge, huge building. I like that.
that is. And then we meet the boiler room person, and she begs him for a job.
I like that guy.
Probably my
I like
favorite
I like
character.
he's pretty sick, and he's got an awesome character design too.
Yeah. Um, what's his name again? Uh, I can't
I
remember
have
his
no idea.
name.
I can't remember. Boiler Man.
Kasugasami? No, I don't know. But he had like the four arms and
Six arms. He
six
had six
arms,
arms.
and he's just using them all during his job, and he like sleeps there.
Yeah, what a horrible life this guy has. But he seems happy about it actually.
Yeah, he doesn't mind. In his eyes,
He
he doesn't have to do any work.
he sits in this one spot all day. He sleeps in this exact spot. I wonder how much he's getting paid.
Kamaji, that's his name. Kamaji. I
Kamaji is a champ.
I like how he has just cigarettes at his post.
Yeah, well, he's who cares? He's the only one there.
Yeah, he's just down there by himself.
Nobody's gonna fill his job. Like, there's nobody else that can do it.
Yeah, nobody else has six arms.
At least that we know of.
Yeah, but she like
And
begs him for the job. She's like no, but then when she gets found by the girl, he like sticks up for her.
I also didn't understand at first until the second watch what he was doing when he was reaching into the drawers.
Mm-hmm.
Those are herbs,
Yeah.
or like maybe some of them are like oils or something. He's mixing like soap, like scent mixtures for the
Mm.
water or chemical mixtures. He's grinding down the roots and herbs and oils and whatnot, and he's putting them into the water.
Okay, I didn't
I
realize that.
Yeah, right. I mean, it took like on my second watch. That's what the tokens are. They send the tokens down. It tells him what to mix.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool to know.
Yeah, it was such a sly detail, but that's like so he's not just the boiler man because what are they called? The smogs?
mm-hmm.
Oh, the soots. The
Yeah.
soots are doing most of the boiler work. He's a spice grinder, really. He's like a mixologist of
Mm-hmm.
soaps and cleaning mixtures.
I liked when he like stuck up for saying that she was his granddaughter.
Yeah, and obviously she didn't believe him, but him saying that was
Yeah,
because immediately she turns around and says, thank the boiler man, you idiot," because obviously she's not his granddaughter, but that's him saying, "Don't
sticking
harm
up
her."
for her. Yeah,
Yeah,
because he's not willing to take like responsibility for her, but he wants to see her do well at the same time.
it seems like they have rotating shifts there too. So thank God that it was that lady who was working that day, giving him his food.
I think they just work every day.
Well, they because you know how they worked the big bath, like
Mm-hmm.
what you're it's like what you're working that day is rotating.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And so the Soots, she does the job for one of the Soots, and all of a sudden, none of them want to work anymore.
Well, it's very funny that it's funny too because that little rock is apparently so heavy she can barely lift it.
But the Soots are
Remember
fun.
her
Yeah.
crab walking with it?
That did seem kind of silly. Um,
Yeah, well, it makes sense in the sense that like she's actually slower than the Soots are.
she slows them all down.
If she could like pick four up and do it, then the Boiler Man would have no need for the Soots.
No, I don't remember the name of the girl that came down and saw them.
Neither do I. Her. She's the most normal looking one here. She looks like a human too. I don't know why they decided to do like I know why because she's a main character, so she gets to look human.
Oh yeah. Is it Lynn? Yeah, it's Lynn.
Lynn,
Yeah.
Lynn, what a normal name.
Spirit of the White Fox. Supporting character.
Lynn is known as Spirit of the White Fox.
Yeah,
What a what a. I feel like Spirit of the White Fox would be like a like a noble spirit in Japanese culture.
maybe.
I mean, you don't think so? I mean, that's like the White Fox. That's like maybe she could be Spirit of the White Worm.
Yeah. Um, she's very strong hearted and stubborn and bossy. But she kind of like takes him up, and then that's where we meet the other Chad of the Radish Spirit.
Oh yeah, that guy's awesome.
He just followed them around.
I like how he's the only one that doesn't care as a human. He's like, "Ah, I'm having a bath. I'm not worried about this human.
Yeah. Takes her up to the top level. And that is where we meet the evil witch.
And I don't even know she. I don't think the conclusion of their story was that she's evil necessarily.
No, not necessarily. Yubaba is her name.
Yubaba. Yubaba, it's a weird character because they keep giving her like malicious intent followed up by her being like pretty kind.
She's running a business.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the first time you hear her name, it's Humura or whatever his name is.
Mhm.
He's saying, "Hey, get a job or Yubaba will turn you into a newt."
Yeah.
And then you actually meet Yubaba and she's like trying to take care of her kid and she's like, "Fine, I'll give you a job."
Mhm.
So
Just
she's like
stop waking up the
she seems
baby.
kind of a practically minded person.
Hmm.
And then the next time you meet Yubaba, she's like maliciously giving them like the hardest job on purpose. And then when she realizes that they're doing a good job, she sticks up for them. It's like a very back and forth thing.
It's like a manager.
Yeah, she's like actually almost like managers have their ups and downs.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
There's also a reason behind everything she does.
I don't know to what extent there's a reason behind her giving her a job. The reason was because I swore an oath to give anybody who asked for a job a job. That seems like a horrible way to run a business.
That is a horrible way to run a business. But
I
she's.
want a job, but I'll only take it if it's $1 million. And you said you give anyone who asks for a job a job.
Well, if you're not going to take the job, because then she doesn't have to give it to you.
Well, you think that's it?
Yeah, if she's. Because she could say, well, this is the job, take it or leave it. And the person has to say, well, yes or no to that. So it's like, if the answer is no, I won't take the job because you won't pay me $1 million, then does she have to give you the job?
Well, couldn't her then like okay, your job is to murder people now, take the job or not? Like, isn't that the loophole she could have gone with if that was really the terms of her agreement?
But the, in order for it to be a job to murder people, then yes, then that means that that had to be established beforehand.
Is it? And I mean, are we really like if she's really the antagonist in the movie, which I don't know if she is, but
I
wouldn't
was,
her murdering people seem kind of in character? Like, okay, go murder my sister.
I would say she's set up to be almost like an antagonist, but she's really not.
Yeah. there's not really an like okay, No Face is an antagonist for like a bit, but he calms down.
Yeah, he gets a hold of himself. He stops simping.
Simps.
But Yubaba does take her name, and that is how she controls her employees. Is she takes their names and gives them a new one. And so our little girl gets given the name Sen.
And like when you see her do that, Sin is like part of her original name, it
Mm-hmm.
looks like. So I wonder how the difference in pronunciations is in Japanese, like if that was maybe part of her last name
Maybe.
and what that means in Japanese.
Well, we have the internet, and we can look that up.
Yeah, but it feels like a lot of work to look up things.
That is Sen in Japanese, as I do it. Oh, so a sen is a unit of currency worth 1/100th of a yen.
Yeah, sen.
So quite literally like one of the
I think
lowest denominations of currency.
interesting. So it's I mean, if we were gonna localize this, then her name would be Penny, which is actually a name.
Yeah, that's
Interesting.
almost like an insulting name all of a sudden.
Yeah,
But
I
she,
also don't know. Maybe if that's not quite it. Like, I'm
mhm.
guessing. Did you do Sen?
Yeah, I did.
Like, it might be sin, so it could be Cin. Like, there's a lot of variations on how they might be pronouncing sen.
That is fair. Yeah.
It could be yeah. So, but if that's it, that first of all, it makes sense like characteristically.
Hmm.
Like, you beg me for a job, you have the lowest position here now, and then but also it's like because you have the lowest position, here's your insulting name, and you
Okay.
keep that name, therefore your position is going to be the smallest forever.
Yeah. So she gets the job and goes down and to get her position, where all of the employees of the bathhouse are basically they kind of look like frogs. Now there are frogs, then there are people that look like frogs, and then there's the women that look like frogs. They
But
all
look
look like
less like
frogs.
frogs than the men.
Yeah, but in the end of the day, everyone except the one spirit that helped her looks kind of like a frog.
That is very strange. Whereas in my world, all the men are going to be kobolds with a few owlin managers, and the women just get to be regular women.
They do stand for greed though.
What stands for reed? What do you mean?
Frogs in Spirited Away stand for greed.
Frogs. They do. All the frogs are very greedy. Oh, they even have frog hands. Look at that one in the background with his little bulging fingertips.
Yeah,
So in that doesn't make sense because they are all kissing the butt of No Face, and
that is
No Face
literally in the
wasn't actually
song they
giving them
sing.
gold. I didn't even realize that till the second time around that the gold that he gave them melted into mud.
Hmm.
So
Uh,
I thought he was actually just manifesting gold.
in the scene, one of the scenes where No Face offers Shihiro gold, um, they're actually all singing a song because they're saying like, "Oh, he's really rich." More gold means more butt to kiss. It's basically more butt to kiss. They literally say, but Shihiro denies it and like he goes off. But they're all lined up, literally begging him for tips. They're literally yelling like, "Please tip me more."
That is pretty crazy. Like that's very aggressive. I mean,
I-
they should remake this movie and instead they're all holding the tablets with the 15, 20, 25 sign on it.
15%.
Yeah.
That would be
But you're
that.
right, and it's weird. So it's weird that No Face is like one of the most powerful wizards in this movie because
Wizards.
he's a magic user in a way that nobody else, in a way that's very similar to the way that Yababa uses magic.
Yeah, that is true.
She kind of manifests a rope from nowhere at one point, and he does that with gold, and his gold has all the properties of regular gold, but
Mm.
after a while
Yeah,
it runs out of time.
he just gives people what they want.
Yeah.
Shihiro goes and visits her parents um, at some point. And they just kind of set up that, oh, Shihiro almost forgot her name, which shows how Yubaba controls people and builds up for Haku. Um, but then after she gets back, they all go to start the shift, which they have just a standard work day. It it builds up like the big bath and everything, but yeah,
I
uh,
like the
sh-
big bath. That
the big bath scene was good.
yeah.
But before that, Shihiro lets in No Face. She welcomes him into the building, which is why he's able to enter.
Oh, you know what's weird is that No Face could see her on the bridge.
Yeah, none of the
So
others could.
yeah. So what was up with that?
I don't know.
Is he like halfway in between the spirit world and this world? Maybe.
I don't know.
Also, it's weird that he had hair for a bit.
I hated that detail.
Yeah, that made me like that made me very uncomfortable anytime I saw his hair like move.
Mm-hmm.
It was like okay, like the mouth was creepy and weird, but at least it like had a purpose. The hair was just there for no reason.
I think it would have actually been better designed, but who knows? Maybe they pulled the spirit from some actual lore, and that Japanese spirit had hair.
Maybe I guess
Who knows?
it's just like kind of a one of those very strange details.
Then we get the monster, the swamp spirit.
They think it's a stench spirit.
Yeah, a stinky spirit.
Yeah,
But it
but it
turns
turns out
out,
it's not.
yeah, he just has a thorn, and they rip out the thorn, and it's like a bunch of junk and waste and garbage from the real world.
Well, it's very interesting that that this also shows that sin is kinder than anybody else because nobody else will give this thing the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
They're like okay, he is a client, so whatever. But she is stuck cleaning him, and she actually tries her best to help him out as best she can.
Yep, builds up the character thing, but Sen also knows that she has to work, and that
And
this
she's
is the
not
only
scared of
way.
him.
No.
She understands his intention, and when he picks her up, when her the lady that's helping her is like, "Watch out, he's gonna hurt you." She's like, "No, he's not. He's asking me for help."
Yeah,
And she reaches in, she feels the thorn, and everybody comes to pull it out.
yeah, she saves the day, and that kind of like wins you Baba's trust.
Yeah.
There's all the trash and the garbage. There's stuff like a swing set in there, a slide, some bicycles, just like human waste. Quite literally, yeah. Oh, you can
And
see you.
his face is so ugly.
Yeah,
It's like a mask. It's interesting that him and No Face both have masks for face.
yep.
It's
Masks.
very I don't notice anybody else in the movie having that detail.
Actually, yeah, nobody else had masks.
So no face has a mask because he has no face.
Mm-hmm.
But the water spirit's face just is a mask. And unlike no face mask doesn't move at all. He has a mouth separate from his mask.
Mm-hmm.
The water spirit's mouth in the mask moves.
Mm. So after that, No Face sees the gold, and he gets the idea to be like, okay, I'll give them gold, which doesn't end well. But the morning, Haku comes back from a secret mission he was sent on, and he's being chased by the paper pieces.
Yeah, flocks of paper. That was a really funny detail.
I really liked it from like a creative aspect. Death by a thousand paper cuts.
Yeah. Well, also it's very again, it's very whimsical.
Hmm.
Like you have a dragon fighting a horde of paper.
Yeah, like folded paper.
I don't know if it was folded. It was cut. It was like cut into
Oh.
like a specific sort of human-ish T-posing shape.
Hmm. Um, I really liked how like the paper followed. One of them stayed behind and followed up to Yubaba's room, which it was then used to like teleport. Like it was infiltrated, and how it infiltrated was really interesting. But on the way up, we get the gold scene that we talked about, where they're all begging for tips. Like on the stream, you can see they're all holding boxes. But he
Yeah.
offers her the gold, and she's like, nah. And so he goes on a rampage. That hair is.
I don't. Yeah, the hair is awful. I don't understand why he goes on a rampage though. That's what I was very confused about.
Well, because she just has rejected him at every turn.
Well, no, she hasn't rejected him. She let her in. He's the only one. She's the only one that hasn't rejected him.
Well, he's trying to be friends with her because she helped him, and she isn't. He's not. Or sorry, he's upset because no matter what he offers her, she won't accept it, and that's because that's all he's ever known is he's given people what they want and they accept him for it. That's how he gets power. That's how he feeds.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's like this embodiment of materialism, and she's not materialistic. And so because of that, is why he's going crazy. That is very disturbing. Like kind of like you were talking about how like disturbing some stuff is, like this shot. That's almost, yeah,
Well,
like that is,
his fat body is very disturbing.
yeah.
It's very
But
um.
she like gives him the river spirits gift, and it like returns him back to normal or something.
It's basically like a it's like the spiritual version of a probiotic. You take it and like it just flushes out your system.
Quite literally goes back to normal. But then he follows her out of the bathhouse. Um, yeah, and then they get on a train to go return the seal that um, Haku took. Haku took a seal from Yubaba's sister, and that's why he was being chased and cut up. And there's like a curse on it, so he's gonna die, and it's pretty complicated. But she goes to do a kind deed, basically. She's like, well, let's do a kind deed. Let's return this thing. We'll clear Haku's name and save him. That's basically, from a character perspective, what's happening. And she brings No Face with him,
And
with
she
her.
uses all the old man's tickets,
Yes.
which is okay. Which I get that why her and No Face have to pay, but I mean, really, do Bug and Mouse really have to pay for a ticket?
Why would they even come? I don't get it.
Well, Mouse they uh Bug is sort of following like, and Mouse is looking for adventure.
Fair enough.
Because first
I
of all,
guess.
Mouse is also angry at his mom because his mom didn't recognize him earlier.
Mhm. And then
And I
Bug
and
wanted to play. Or no,
yeah,
no,
right. But the
Mouse.
Bug is the bird, so I don't understand why the bird is following either. But I understand why Mouse.
Oh yeah, Mouse. Yeah, Mouse wanted to play too.
Yeah, and he's mad at his mom because first of all, his mom uh, didn't recognize him, and then because she didn't recognize him, he got to see that she was actually kind of a mean person to other
Mhm.
people.
Mouse also never got to go outside.
Yeah, so that makes sense. He's
Then
like
we
he's
meet
enjoying his time.
the identical sister of Yubaba
Well, we met her earlier, but now we get to meet her like for who she is.
at her little
And she,
farm.
yeah, very lovely place. Why was she invisible earlier? Did you pick up on that?
No.
Hmm.
Why is she an exact twin of Yubaba? Like, did
Well, no,
she?
they're just twins.
Yeah. How they're portrayed is quite terrifying too.
The giant heads.
Yeah. It's like very almost grotesque.
It is grotesque. It's gross. And then when they fold up and turn into a bird, it's also gross.
Yeah. The imagery of this show. Oh, yeah. But they return the seal. She gets a hairband that protects her mind from the evil witch of the West. And with that, with her getting her memory back, she remembers Haku's name, and so she tells Haku his name, and it nearly kills them because apparently he loses consciousness when he remembers his name. But they get back, and the final test, so she can go free, is she has to identify her parents.
And they're pigs at this point, so they look like every other pig.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
she's
as a pig expert, I can tell you that not all pigs look alike. They have they're the very distinctive markings, but
yeah,
you know, whatever.
but
A
none of
lot of them
them.
are they come in many different colors. They come in blonde. They come in like a ginger. They come in black.
Mhm.
Very pigs are very distinctive animals. Okay, and for them to just say they all look alike is kind of racist.
Very racist against the piggies.
Pig racists, yeah.
But turns out none of them were her parents, and they were just employees turned into pigs. Jokes on you! None of these pigs are your parents. We already ate them.
That'd be funny.
But no, that's basically the end of the movie. This movie felt really short for its runtime.
Yeah, it was over 2 hours, which is very surprising.
Yeah, it feels like I don't know. It's just a very short film. There's a lot of like in between scene moments.
Very wonderfully paced, I will say.
It
Pacing
was.
is a big thing for me. I talk about this all the time.
Hmm.
Pacing is what makes a movie watchable.
Yeah.
Like a movie can be very brilliant. Like I thought An Elephant Standing Still was very brilliant, but I don't think it managed its pacing like very well.
Hmm.
Or I mean, it did for like the kind of movie it was, like the low budget film. But compared to like what when you have teams and teams of people to like manage out how good it feels watching,
Yeah.
it didn't. And this movie did. This movie, like the lows were as low as they should be, and the highs were as high as they should be. Maybe a little bit too much with the scary factor, like during the chase scene and whatnot.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't think there was a. Maybe they could have been a bit less subtle, but that's all. That's the only complaint I have.
Yeah. With me, I more of my complaints were about the story, the general story, and how the sort of structured or the lack thereof. But for me, I love character work. That is my big thing I love in movies. And this movie was great with its character work.
Who's your favorite character?
The Boiler Man,
Oh yeah, we talked about that. He was great.
he
I
was.
like the scene. I like the it's again like all the really great character scenes though are also like the very really short subtle ones.
Hmm.
Like, and I wonder if they do that because they're targeting this movie towards kids, and they have a lot of character work to do, but they do it really quickly so they can get the kids their entertainment.
One of the great
But
things, though, about character work is often like you don't notice it's happening all the time, especially for children. Like with me, I liked it. I still liked character work in movies, like even when I was a kid. I just didn't know I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, but what I mean is that in this movie, like the scene where the Boilerman tucks her in
Hmm.
is very very short,
Oh yeah.
and it's like it doesn't linger on those moments, and that's good in some ways. Like a lot of movies like want to beat you over the head with it, and it's bad in the sense that in a very action-packed movie, you might like blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of those very subtle moments that I had to watch a second time to even notice.
Hmm.
Like the mouse look like getting mad at his mom for not recognizing him and then being mean to his new friend. You
Hmm.
like it's literally just conveyed in his facial expressions when they're having that 3 second conversation.
Oh
You
yeah.
you like like if you don't look out for it, you'll miss it.
Hmm. I think that's the
And
best when character work is at its best, is when it doesn't linger on it. It just is in the small actions that characters do.
but you can be too you can be too subtle with things. I don't think you're denying that. Like there's such a thing as too subtle.
Hmm.
And I think that this movie, not unjustifiably,
Hmm.
but I think that if you love a if you love seeing characters like grow, I mean this movie it's easy to watch twice, so it's almost not a fault because you just watch it a second time and then you're like, oh wow, I missed that.
I think rewatchability in movies is a positive thing.
Yeah,
You
well
should be
this
able
is
to get something new out of it on a second watch. Like it's not that they're hiding detail; it's often because of there's so much detail going on that.
yeah, but in most movies when you think of like rewatch like getting something new, you're thinking of like maybe there was like a villain's motivations you didn't get to know until the end, but
Hmm.
earlier in the movie you get to see it.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, I only know that now because I know the plot.
Yeah.
But in this movie, it's like it's some things that should be like more obvious aren't. And like the biggest, I think you pointed this out. The biggest thing about that is what is his name? Haiku? It's not Haiku.
Haku.
It's Aku.
Yeah, Haku.
Haku. Um, his character arc is kind of lame.
I agree. But I mean, I don't think he was meant to have a character arc in this movie because he's already been in this world for so long.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, his characterization is a little bit lame.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Like he isn't characterized very much
He
outside
he's
of.
the first character she meets in this world, and he's like the last she interacts with.
Hmm.
And usually when you have that, like the Cheshire Cat has kind of a rich character arc in Alice in Wonderland
Hmm.
because he doesn't care about anything at all in the movie, and then he cares about her. He gets a friend,
Okay.
and in this movie it, it kind of falls flat on that. Like this, his relationship should be her most important one, and it kind of isn't.
Well, that's the last slide I have, or last I have to talk about this movie.
And I think we got through a lot in those slides. I think that was pretty good.
Mhm.
Okay, so ratings. What's your rating for this movie?
Um, I would give this movie an 8 out of 10.
And I would give this movie an 8.4 out of 10.
Yep,
Maybe an 8.6
that's
in
good.
that range.
That,
Yeah.
yeah, really good. Definitely
Again,
recommend.
again, the way we say this in every episode, but the way we rank, we're basically ranking it the same.
Yeah, you're you always rate things a little bit higher than I do usually.
Because of my philosophy on bad movies.
So,
But
yeah.
yeah. And do you have any ideas for next week?
Well, it's your turn next week.
Are you going to see the new Mission Impossible? I'm guessing not.
There's a new Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I know, right? Out in theaters.
Oh, it's only in theaters.
Yeah, right now.
I'm likely not going to see a movie if it's in theaters then.
All right. We'll figure something out. We'll see what's up.
It's a Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah, it's Mission Impossible.
Hell yeah.
Mission Impossible 7.
Oh jeez. I haven't seen a Mission Impossible movie.
Written none of them.
Nope.
It's
I have
it's it's it- it's almost just like Fast and Furious, where you know how the first Fast and Furious was just a crime drama about street racers,
I haven't
and the
seen the
newest one.
Fast and the Furious.
Oh my god. Well, there are these, they're they're okay. So basically, what I'm getting at is that they're movies that go on so long that they become parodies of a genre.
Yeah.
So Mission Impossible, like first movie was like just him breaking into a vault, like that was the impossible mission, and
Hmm.
then the new movie is like I'm gonna skydive into the Grand Canyon, but at the very last moment I'm gonna pull a wingsuit out and I'm gonna catch a drift, and I'm gonna fly up, and I'm gonna wrestle, I'm gonna box a guy in midair, and then I'm gonna land safely in a river, and then I'm gonna hold my breath for 17 minutes while I disarm a safe that's in the Grand Canyon. He's like, it just gets so ridiculous.
That is why I haven't watched them, is because I'm very
Well,
familiar with them, but I.
the first three are gonna be like super normal like spy movies, and then it's gonna
Mhm.
get absurd from there.
Okay.
Like it starts out as just like, oh, like a sort of sci-fi piece of technology is in the movie, and then it's like he's disarming nukes to a fraction of a second.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's off the walls, kind of
yeah.
nonsensical.
There's literally a scene in one of I think the more recent movie where they have to press two buttons at the same time to stop the nuke from going off, like to a millisecond at the same time, and they lose communication, so they
Yeah,
have to just guess when the other person's gonna press the button,
and they do it.
and they do it. Yeah,
So
and
stupid.
obviously the way to go is like the last 0.1 second is like that has to be the time. Like if you press the button too early, you set off the nuke.
It's so stupid.
I know, but they do it. They do it. They guess, and they guess right.
I guess my friend is gonna press it in 3 seconds. Three,
Yeah,
and then they both started there. Like, did you see? Okay, Rick and Morty may have gone downhill like really quickly, but did you watch Rick and Morty?
yeah. I like Rick and Morty.
Do you remember the episode where like they split themselves across multiple realities? They all have
And
to do the exact same thing to get back. And it's like Rick is sure that he is sure in himself across multiple realities to do the exact same thing no matter what. Because he does everything with reason. But then when shit starts hitting the fan, Rick sees that he doesn't actually. He's a little bit more different than he really wants to admit it.
oh, I do remember that. That was really funny.
But it's that idea of like two people having to guess at the exact same time to disarm a nuke.
They made that
Literally,
episode. They made that episode to show how stupid time travel was,
yeah.
and it doesn't really prove that. Like it only proves like the multiverse time travel theory is stupid.
Mhm.
But that's like a very new idea of how time travel works.
Well, so what movie are we going to do then if we're not doing Mission Impossible?
Uh I have no idea. I don't think like we're entering another dead space of movies. We'll figure it out later.
We can
I
do a
think
different topic if you want, other than just movies too.
like a TV show.
We could do like a TV show, a video game, or like a Reddit page, or whatever you wanted.
Oh, let's totally do a Reddit. Let's do I think we should go for a Reddit.
But we're
Do
not
you want to do
exclusively movies.
yeah. Well, we are media primarily, but yeah, let's do a Reddit. Let's do you want to do Am I the Asshole, or do you want to do what's the other one we do? Is it
It's your choice.
relation relationship advice? Is the other one we do?
Yeah, we did relationship advice. We did several.
All right, let's do relationship advice. I'll work on finding interesting ones over the past next week.
Okay. Okay. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up there. We've been going for a while now. And we
Signing off.
hope everyone enjoyed, and we'll see everyone next time. Peace.